Namaskar, I'm Neil, and I welcome in our Sherlocking Prelims 2022 analysis series. We have until now analyzed the first 80 questions, and we have seen how basic sources and common sense will take you to places. Before we start the analysis in our ninth video, let me just go over those two fundamental pillars which have been driving our analysis since the last 8 videos or so. Those two pillars are fairly simple. The first pillar I have discussed already right in the beginning. First pillar being basic sources and common sense is all you need to give yourself the best possible chance of clearing prelims at this point in time. And number two is that an overarching understanding and overview of the subject is going to be far more rewarding than in-depth knowledge. Because this has been my personal observation, which has been collated with the observation of a lot of people who have been preparing with me since the last 5 years or so. Some of them have cleared, some of them have not been able to clear. They have started their life afresh. The consensus has been fairly simple. At times, the more in-depth knowledge you have, the more likely you are to get stuck in 50-50. And sometimes when you just have an overview, you are more likely to be decisive. You're more likely to pick an option which is more likely to be the right answer as per UPSC scheme. So with these two pillars in mind, let us begin. Before we begin, if you haven't watched the initial videos in the series, I'm going to put the link on the top right side. Feel free to click on the first video and watch the videos in a chronology so that it adds more value to your preparation. Let's begin. Let's start with question number 81. So question number 81 comes from geography. And the directive is, which of the following is correct? There are two statements. Statement one says, high clouds primarily reflect solar radiation and cool the surface of the earth. When I was sitting in the examination hall, I could not find a definite reason as to how I could negate it. And I didn't remember a lot of content from the theme of clouds. So I was inclined to believe that the statement is correct. Why? I don't see an extreme connotation being spoken about in statement number one. In statement number two, again, it says low clouds have a high absorption of infrared radiation emanating from the Earth's surface and thus cause global warming. Again, on the surface of it, when I was sitting in the examination hall, I didn't find a problem with this statement per se. Both of these look like fairly noble statements. In the examination hall, it is very difficult to remember such trivial details on a topic from clouds. At least for me, it was difficult. So I went with the option number C. This is absolutely the most incorrect option possible in the answer. The right answer is number D, which tells us that common sense and logic fails when they ask trivial information. Number one. But it will never stop me from attempting as many questions as possible using these logical reasoning or heuristical tools, because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to only end up with that positive. The catch in this question was fairly simple. UPSC, the commission has a habit of at times swapping the two statements. So what the statement says about low clouds is actually related to the high clouds, and what it says about the low clouds is related to low clouds. I was aware in the examination hall that yes, UPSC sometimes swap those statements, but usually you get a hint of the fact that the two statements have been swapped. I could not have foreseen the fact that they have been swapped from the way these statements have been framed. They look fairly innocuous, and maybe my revision was not up to the mark as far as the topic of clouds was concerned. So I marked C. The answer is D. The only takeaway is just revise basics and have this heuristic at the back of your mind that in a two-statement question, UPSC sometimes swaps the details between those two statements. If I were to attempt this question again, I would still mark C, take a negative, move on with my life. Because at the end of the day, it's about clearing the cutoff from a pool of 100 questions. I think with our discussion, we've been able to do more than that. And we're going to see more of that in the coming questions. Let's come to question number 82. Question number 82 says, consider the following statements. Which of the following are correct? I had no idea about either of these three statements. The first thing that I see, as you can see too, there is no option which says all of the above. So at least one and at max two statements are incorrect. Okay. So you put your Sherlocking hat on and you see that at least one or at max two of these statements are wrong. So let's find out which of these have more potential to be incorrect. Statement number one says, BD is a large refugee settlement in northwest Kenya. To me, this sounds like an assertive statement. It is trying to sell a point rather too aggressively. BD is a large refugee settlement in northwestern Kenya. How would I know? But I'm not buying it right from the word go. Why? I see 2-3 trivial information. It's a large refugee settlement and in northwest Kenya. I'm going to hold. I'm neither going to eliminate it yet. I'm not going to accept it on its face value. Let's come to statement number two. Statement number two says, some people who fled from South Sudan civil war live in BD. I don't care about the content here. I'm focused on context. A point we have seen at work in a couple of questions before. My attention is not pivoted on whether people who have fled from South Sudan live there or not. I focus my attention on the directive some people. It's a very soft statement. Some people who fled from South Sudan. And I know UPSC, when they have soft directives, soft components in the statement, it is more likely to be correct. I have belief in that heuristic because I have exhaustively analyzed previous questions and I have seen that at work year in, year out. So I'm inclined to believe in the moment that 2 is correct. Why? There's a very soft directive. Some people who fled from South Sudan civil war live in BD. Karte honge? Kyun nahi karte honge? Some people. So I'm inclined to believe 2 is correct. 3 says some people. Again, my focus is not on the fact, whether people who have fled from civil war in Somalia live in the Dadaab refugee complex in Kenya or not. My focus is on the directive, on the soft connotation which comes from the first 2 words. Some people who fled. So again, 3 also looks acceptable to me. I see that there's an option C which says 2 and 3. So I'm going to back my hunch. I'm going to focus on the context more than the content. There's no option which says 1, 2, 3. So I don't have any confusion of whether to accept one or not. And anyway, 1 looks like an assertive statement to me. I mark C, move on. I have to admit I have been really lucky in this question because I didn't have much information going in. But this further reaffirms my belief in the fact that soft directives are more likely to be related to a correct statement. The directive is some people. Some people. You can see it in both the statements. Statement number 2 and statement number 3. Let's come to question number 83. Again, I had no idea altogether, but I was more confident solving question number 83. Question 83 says, consider the following countries. You have a name of 5 countries given. And which of the above are members of the Organization of Turkish States? Turkish states, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think should be Turkic, I don't know. But something related to the country Turkey. So when I look at the question says, which of the above are members of organization, means that maybe they have something to do with overlapping ethnicity or overlapping similarity in culture. And then I look at the options. I know that the Nagorno-Karabakh issue was taking place. It was a contemporary issue. I knew that Turkey was supporting Azerbaijan. So that means Azerbaijan has an overlap of interests with Turkey. So Azerbaijan looks like a potential correct option. Why? The contemporary issue was Nagorno-Karabakh, and Turkey was siding with Azerbaijan. On the other hand, Turkey was opposing the country Armenia. So Armenia again is less likely to be the correct answer. With that information, if I eliminate 1 and if I accept 2, I arrive at option number C. That is one way to arrive at the answer. Then I look at the other name of the countries. I see Croatia again is a European nation. Primarily, it has completely different culture to Turkey. So again, Croatia is less likely to be the right answer. Similarly, Romania. is another European country. Uzbekistan is an Asian country. Azerbaijan also can have potentially similar culture to Turkey. So commonsensically, C appears to be the most likely answer. I would repeat myself. The question was, which of the above are members of Organization of Turkish States? I don't know you can ever find a compilation which will have these obscure organizations listed and you could somehow remember all these names. I don't think that is how it is supposed to be solved. You just need to have an overarching understanding of what the question is trying to say, and then try to relate it to the given options. Turkish state, so maybe they are talking about the organization wherein the nations have an overlapping Turkish ethnicity and overlapping interests with Turkey. Azerbaijan seems like it. Uzbekistan seems like it. Croatia, Romania don't have any overlapping culture, that I'm sure. And Armenia also is less likely to be correct. So that leads me to the correct answer, which is C. And that is how you should read contemporary issues. This is my personal understanding. Maybe this question has come from the Nagorno-Karabakh issue. And instead of delving deep into details that are not going to help you solve a question in prelims or in mains, you should rather focus on understanding the overarching framework of what is happening. If you know that Turkey is siding with Azerbaijan and is opposing Armenia's claims, that can help you accept two, eliminate one, and straight away arrive at the right answer. That is how peripheral knowledge helps. Let's come to the next question. Question number 84. Question number 84 says, consider the following statements. 3 statement दी हुई है, and then he says, which of the statements given above are correct? ठीक है, देखते हैं. One says, Gujarat has the largest solar park in India. To be honest, when I was sitting in the examination hall, I was not sure. But as I have spoken about it in the past too, UPSC usually tinkers with things like the first regulatory commission, the highest peak, the largest solar park. So I suspect option 1 is incorrect using that analysis of previous questions. So I'm not in, and again, if you look at the options, there is no option which says all of the above. So I am inclined to believe 1 is incorrect. Why? Gujarat has the largest solar park in India. Usually the commission tinkers with these, with this kind of an information. 2 says Kerala has a fully solar powered international airport. Now there's no option that says none of the above. So at least one of these 3 is correct. So 2 is speaking about an absolute situation. It says Kerala has a fully solar powered international airport. It doesn't say only Kerala in the entire country has a fully powered solar powered international airport. Or it doesn't say Kerala is the first airport to have fully solar powered airport. So it's relatively softer than statement number 1, statement number 3. 3 says again, Goa has the largest floating solar photovoltaic project in India. So I see similarity in statement 1, 3. I bank on my previous question analysis that tells me that statements like these are more likely to be incorrect. 2 is relatively soft and there's no option that says none of the above. I'm more inclined to mark B. I mark B, again turns out to be the right answer. Right? So I don't think you need to remember a lot of these details. All of these trivial information you actually don't need to remember. You just need to have an overarching understanding of how the commission makes these questions. And how you do it by analyzing the previous questions. If you want, I can put in times to come on my Telegram channel all the compiled questions from 2011 to 2022 with their official answer key. Let me know in the comment box if you think that would add value to your preparation. Let's come to question number 85. Question number 85 says, with reference to United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea, consider the following statements. 3 statements. Which of these statements given above are correct? Let's see. So a coastal state has the right to establish the breadth of its territorial sea up to a limit, not exceeding 12 nautical miles, measured from baseline determined in accordance with the convention. Now this has a data point, but what is different in this question is this UNCLOS has been in news since last 4 or 5 years. So personally, at a personal level, I remembered this data and I knew this was correct. But I have a different way to affirm that this is not an incorrect data. So I knew that even though data UPSC 9 out of 10 times gives an incorrect data, I have remembered this data in particular. UNC LOS has been in news, and I know this is correct. So I'm going to stick with it. Statement 2 says, ships of all states, whether coastal or landlocked, enjoy the right of innocent passage through territorial sea. So even though, again, this has an extreme directive all, but logically it makes sense. And that is why I request all of you to go and analyze previous questions, because this resolution of knowing when to use which heuristic only comes with practice. 9 out of 10 times, this directive of all is incorrect. But there are exceptions when using all leads to a logically coherent statement. Here it says ships of all states, whether coastal or landlocked, enjoy the right of innocent passage through territorial sea makes logical sense, even though the directive is on. So again, I'm inclined to believe that 2 is correct. 3 says the exclusive economic zone shall not extend beyond 200 nautical miles from the baseline, from which the breadth of the territorial sea is measured. Again, this has a data. 9 out of 10 times data is wrong, but I have remembered this data in advance. I knew this was correct. Now, let's say you didn't have the luxury of sitting in the examination hall. So I mark D, turns out to be the correct answer, and I take a +2. Now, let's say, unlike me, you don't have the luxury of sitting in this examination cycle for 5 long years. What do you do in a question like this? So again, I go back to this fictional character, Harvey Specter from Suits, who in most of his negotiations, he says that he doesn't play the odds, he plays the man. Similarly, you don't have to play the question, you have to play the options. Do you see any option which says none of the above? You don't. Even so 1 has a data point, so using that logic, I'm inclined to eliminate 1. 2 has a directive all. That way, I'm inclined to eliminate 2. 3 has another data point. I'm inclined to eliminate 3. Ultimately, I arrive at an option which doesn't even exist. So that means all 3 of them are not incorrect. And even 2 of them are not incorrect. At max, only 1 of them could be incorrect. And you can't have that resolution between these 3 as to which is more incorrect than the rest of the 2. So in situations like these, either I leave the question or I mark all of the above. Right? So this resolution of knowing when to use what heuristic only comes with more and more practice. Only watching these videos will not help you in developing that resolution. These videos are just an entry pass. You have to practice these over and over again in previous questions, and then you would get the knack of knowing which heuristic to apply where. Let's move to the next question. Question number 86. I took a negative in this question 86, but I'm happy taking a negative because I was stuck in 50-50. There was no way to find a better option than that 50-50 in the examination hall. Question was, which of the following statements best reflects the issue with Senkaku Islands, sometimes mentioned in the news? 1 says, it is generally believed that they are artificial islands made by a country around South China Sea. Okay. B says, China and Japan engage in maritime disputes over these islands in East China Sea. So you could see that heuristic at play. What heuristic? When there are 2 similar sounding options, the answer is more likely to be between those 2. C says, a permanent American military base has been set up there to help Taiwan to increase its defense capabilities. I don't know. D says, though International Court of Justice declared them as no man's land, some Southeast Asian countries claim them. So see, C and D are talking about a different trajectory altogether. A and B have this similar directive. South China Sea, East China Sea. They're both talking about something happening in China Sea. So I come to examiner's constraint. I know that examiner only has the right answer. The examiner or whosoever is heading the paper has to make 3 incorrect options in a way that they don't outrightly give the correct answer. And that is why they make similar sounding options. So I am certain, sitting in the examination hall, that the answer is 1 between A and B. I marked A, turned out to be the incorrect answer. The answer to this question is B. Okay. Now I have a better way of attempting this question. If I was sitting in the examination hall now, and if I were still stuck in 50-50 between A and B, this time I would mark B. Why is that? Is that because I know that B is the correct answer? Of course not. when you're sitting in the examination hall, you're not going to be 100% sure as to which is the correct answer. Then why am I more inclined to pick B over A? The answer is fairly simple. You see, B is really specific. B says China and Japan, two countries ka naam, two different countries being named, engage in maritime disputes, very specific issue, in East China Sea. The names of the participants is very clear. Everything is very clear. Crystal clear statement. A is very vague. So it is generally believed, ऐसा माना जाता है, ऐसा है या नहीं, and nobody knows. It is generally believed that they are artificial islands made by a country. Which country? Doesn't mention. Around South China Sea. So when you're stuck in a 50-50 between a vague and a more specific option, pick a specific option. I mean, if somebody is lying, they are more likely to obfuscate or talk about vague stuff. No, I went there, then I came back, then that is why I was not able to come on time. Usually, more often than not, unless they are trained liars, people can't lie with specificity. Similarly, between A and B, A is more supposed to be an correct option because it is really vague in the way it is formed. It is very ad hoc. लग रहा है किसी ने मन से बनाया हुआ है. And how do you know that resolution? With practice, with time. So this time I would have picked B. So you could see, even after 5 attempts, I am still improving more. I mean, in the examination hall, I picked A. I don't want to attempt the examination again, but if it comes to that, and if I were to sit in the examination again, this time I would prefer B over A, and I have spoken about why that is the case. Let's come to question number 87. So question 87, I would discuss in the final video as to how to bundle all these 7-8 questions together and solve them probabilistically, how I solve them probabilistically in the examination hall. Otherwise, there is no way for me to solve this question. I mean, information in this depth, it's very difficult to attain before going. So, वैसे the answer is C. It says how many pairs given above are correctly matched. 1 is incorrect. 2, 3, 4 are correct. I don't know which source to refer to actually know these statements. So for me, either skip this question altogether, or if you want to know how I bundled all these questions together and solve them probabilistically, wait for the final video, which is going to be out soon. Go to question number 88. Again, I have 2 different ways to solve this question. One is through probabilistic bundling. I'll discuss that in the final video. Here, there's another way to solve it fairly simply that I'm going to speak about now. It says how many pairs given above are correctly matched. Okay? Consider the following pairs. So Anatolia Plateau, most of sincere aspirants know. So 1 is correct without doubt. Second is Amhara in Ethiopia. To me, Amhara sounds like an African name. So I'm going to hold for the time being. Cabo Delgado, Spain, I'm not sure. D says Catalonia. We know that Catalan issue took place in Spain. So 4 is incorrect. And since Catalonia is related to Spain, it is less likely that Cabo Delgado also would be related to Spain. That is how my mind was working. So in my mind, when I was sitting in the examination hall, if I were to not attempt this using probabilistic bundling, I would have still marked B, only 2 pairs. And why? Catalonia was related to Spain, 4 is wrong, so that means D is incorrect. If Catalonia is related to Spain, Cabo Delgado is less likely to be from Spain. It won't give 2 different regions from the same country. They're very less likelihood. So 3 also gone. Between A and B, I'm more inclined to pick B because Amhara also sounds like an African name. Depends on your risk appetite in the moment. Whether you want to go with A or B, I would explain why B is a better pick in this question when I talk about probabilistic bundling in the final video. Right? B is what I marked. I think B, yes, I have no doubt B is the correct option. Let's come to the second last question. Question says, with reference to Indian laws about wildlife protection, consider the following statements. ठीक है, 3 statements given है. Question is, which of the statements given above is correct? Let's see. So number 1, why? So again, as soon as you look at the question first, come to the option, you see that there is no option which says all of the above. So at least 1 and at max 2 of these given statements are incorrect. Let's see. Let's analyze. So it says Wild animals are the sole property of the government. I'm not happy with the directive sole because it has an extremist connotation to it, and I'm more inclined to eliminate it. But I'm still going to hold. Let's say if I eliminate one, I am stuck between B and D. I'm going to hold. Statement 2 says, when a wild animal is declared protected, such animal is entitled for equal protection whether it is found in protected areas. That's common sensically also correct. And you should read about WPA in detail because every year there are questions from this legislation, Wildlife Protection Act. So I know for sure that 2 is correct common sensically also, and I've read the act too. Doesn't matter where the animal is found, once the declaration has been made, the animal is entitled for equal protection, no matter whether they're inside the area or they come within your home. 2 is correct. 3 says there's no option which says 2 and 3, so I know the answer is Dina. But I never mark the answer in the OMR before reading through all these statements first. Statement 3 says apprehension of a protected wild animal becoming a danger is sufficient ground for its capture or killing. Again, doesn't sound right because apprehension of a protected wild animal, it cannot be a sufficient ground. There has to be more provision as to, because capturing or killing an animal, protected wild animal is a big thing. They have protection, so you can't straight away capture or kill them. There's a process we have to follow. There are modalities that have to be fulfilled. And so 3 also sounds very vague, sounds incorrect. I would definitely have gotten confused if there were an option which said 2 and 3. Fortunately, there's no option which says 2 and 3. So I knew in that case that 2 is more likely to be correct than 3. And that is why I marked 3. Now, there's a contention in this question. There's some coaching institutes who are bringing out certain sections of the legislation, and they're using those sections to show how actually wild animals are the sole property of the government. So a lot of coaching institutes are claiming that the answer is A. Could be, we'll have to wait for the key. In my understanding, there's an equal possibility of the answer being between A or B. I marked B. If I were to attempt the question again in the examination hall, I would still mark B because I see an extreme directive sole property of government, and I'm more inclined to eliminate that. So the answer is between A or B. I will still prefer B, but I won't be surprised if UPSC gives the answer as A. We'll have to wait for the key to come. Let's come to the final question of the day. This is entirely a trivial question. No heuristic, no common sense could be applied. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Certain species of which of the following are well known as cultivators of fungi? So ant, cockroach, crab, or spider. People who know, they know. The answer is ant. No way to approach this question. I think since I've been in the cycle for so long, and I personally am an avid reader, I read a lot. I read 2 newspapers every day. I read a lot of books. So tangentially, peripherally, I knew that A is the answer. I don't know from where I read this, but reading widely sometimes helps you solve these trivial questions. I knew this. I do not know where I knew this from. I did not read a specific source for this. So you won't lose out on much if you leave trivial questions like these. I think that is it from this video. Know that the proof of the pudding lies in eating. So if you want to improve your heuristic game, if you want to improve your elimination game, you have to keep practicing more and more and more and more. One more video to go. I'll ensure that I release the video on time and making sure that the highest quality is assured. If you have any doubts, if you have any counter arguments, if you have any counter propositions, feel free to engage in the comment section. If you think this video added value to your life, feel free to like. If you want to receive more updates, feel free to subscribe. And if you think this could add value to another aspirant's preparation, feel free to share. If you want to see more of my work, go in the description box. I'm running a Telegram group. I'm running a Telegram channel where you could ask more doubts. And I'm running an answer writing group in case that adds value to your preparation. I'm going to soon come out with the final video. Then we'll see how to move forward from there. Keep practicing until then. Take care. I'm going to see you soon. Bye.